How are you, my dear students? Today we are going to start our new chapter. Here's the new chapter is also the biology type chapter, and here's the chapter is chapter 3. And chapter 3, the headline is the diffusion, osmosis and the transpiration. Yes, this also the plant-based structure. Now everyone see the books. The roots of plants absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. Here's I just draw the figure of the plant. Here's the plant. This structure is when they also the roots. This structure is the roots, and the again I also repeat, the roots of plants absorb water. Here's this structure is the water, and another structure is the mineral source. Here's the water and mineral source. They also get from the soil. These substances are transported up the stem of to the leaves. Here this structure is the stem, this category is the stems, and they are also the leaves. Again, where it evaporates from the surface, intake of carbon dioxide. Again, another category is that they also absorb the carbon dioxide and release or expel of oxygen gas, and they also take the carbon dioxide and they also release the oxygen. This category is the absorption of water and minerals, a transport of these substances to the roots and leaves, and evaporation of water occurs through diffusion, osmosis, absorption, transpiration and transpiration process. Here, yes, my dear students, I also explained today the diffusion. Basically, our new topics is the diffusion, and also the another category and another topics is the osmosis, absorption, transpiration and transpiration process. Now, the lesson 1 and lesson 2. Here's the lesson 1 and lesson 2. They are also the another category is the diffusion. What's the meaning of diffusion? Here, we know matters or substances are made up of small molecules. These molecules are always in motion. In case of liquid and gas, the motion of these molecules are very fast and show tendency to diffuse towards the regions with lower concentration from the higher ones. They also the flow. Basically, this structure is the lower concentration and this structure is the higher concentration. Here's the lower and the higher ones. These movements of molecules continues as long as the concentration of the two regions become equal. When this structure is the lower concentration and this structure is the higher concentration, and finally they are also the equal, then it's the another name is the diffusion. Here's the diffusion. When diffusion stops, basically diffusion stops at once when the concentration of molecules becomes equal in two regions. This type of movement of molecules is called diffusion. Please everyone underline this line. Here's the line again, I also repeat. The types of movements of molecules is called the diffusion. Now, the next structure is due to the kinetic energy of the molecule, a potential pressure is exerted and consequently the movement of molecules of solutions or gases from one region of higher concentration to that of a lower one occurs. This type of pressure is called the dP, and another line is the diffusion pressure. Again, my dear students, again I also repeat, what's the diffusion pressure? Basically, a potential pressure is exerted and consequently the movement of molecules of solutions or gases from one region of higher concentration to that of a lower one occurs. This type of pressure is called the diffusion pressure, and another line is the dP. We can understand the meaning of diffusion through some experiments. Depending on experimental knowledge and the discussion, practical knowledge on diffusion can be gathered. A few experiments on diffusion are discussed below. We can see many examples of diffusion in our surroundings. For example, the smell of scent, attar or Burning incense spread all over the room. It happens due to diffusion, true. Again, it happens due to diffusion. High density of atoms from incense and sand spread in low density too of atoms around the room. As a result, the whole room becomes scented. Again, our first activity is the observing diffusion on copper sulphate in water. Requirements: copper sulphate, beaker, water, etc. Method: take some copper sulphate, blue vitriol, and pour them into the water of a beaker. Copper sulphate is soluble in water and water will take this color of copper sulphate. Explain why it happens. Finally, prepare a list of diffusion activities which occur around us. Importance of diffusion. Here's the importance of diffusion. Diffusion takes place in every physiological process of the organism. During photosynthesis, plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen as byproducts. Diffusion makes this essential task possible. Living cells use oxygen for the oxidation of glucose. Oxygen enters into the cells through diffusion and the release of carbon dioxide also occurs in the same way. The loss of water in the form of water vapors through transpiration is the result of diffusion. In case of animal respiration, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, carrying of food, oxygen, etc. from blood to lymph and from lymph to cells occur through diffusion. My dear students, I just explained today what's the meaning of diffusion and the process of diffusion and importance of diffusion. Basically, these three categories very important topics for your final exam. I think that's okay, and goodbye, my dear students. My dear students, our next class, basically in the next class we also explain about the osmosis. Here's the osmosis. I just only give you the little brief. Here's the little brief. What's the meaning of osmosis? I just also give you the example. Osmosis. To understand the process of osmosis, we need to know the characteristics of the membrane separating two differently concentrated solutions. Membrane may be of three types, for example, impermeable membrane and the permeable membrane and the semi-permeable membrane. Here the impermeable membrane, the membrane through which molecule of both solute and the solvent cannot pass. Example, polythene cell wall made up of cutin. The permeable membrane. Here's the permeable membrane, the membrane through which molecule of both solute and the solvent can pass easily. Example, cell wall. Semi-permeable membrane. The membrane through which only the solvent molecule, water in case of plants, can pass but not the solute molecules, is called semi-permeable membrane. Example, cell membrane, membrane inside the eggshell, membrane of fish, potka, swim bladder, air bladder, etc. My dear students, it's also the next class. I just also explain about the osmosis, and today I just give you only the shortly brief about the osmosis. And here the three types of osmosis. First category is the impermeable membrane, second is the permeable membrane, and third is the semi-permeable membrane. That's all, my dear students, today. Thank you.